All right, so we're gonna be talking about the Mandalorian, Mandy and the Kid. They are back for season 3 here, and another season is on the way. I don't know if you guys have the same kind of thoughts about it or sentiments about it, but it seems like I don't know. It just seems like there's not a lot of hype around this season like it was previously.
Yeah.
Seems like.
A
Yeah, go
lot
ahead.
of it's some excitement really tapered out.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Is
don't
that
know.
a
Oh, go ahead.
is that an effect to like the Book of Boba Fett? Since everyone kind of got tired of like everyone thought they were gonna take a break with Boba Fett, but it ended up it ended up being like Mando season 3, and now it's like, oh, Mando season 3's here. I'm like, oh, I thought I already got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Because with this season, when it starts, it's like you kind of almost have to have seen Boba Fett because there's that episode where there's the last kind of episodes of Boba Fett where they were just like, oh,
There were
fuck.
2 set episodes.
Yeah, they were like, fuck Boba Fett. Let's just go back to Mandalorian. Like, let's go back to, you know what I mean, Din Djarin, and let's
I
just.
mean, like, why did they even bother with the Boba Fett series? They could have just introduced just 2 episodes of Mando and going, hey, surprise, we've got 2 episodes of Mando while you wait.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, because it's almost like so. You guess you got to kind of watch those episodes to be caught up on what's happening now in the beginning of this season 3 because he's reunited again with Grogu. Because at the end of season 2 he gave him off to Luke Skywalker and everything like that.
Yeah.
So the Mandalorian, typically that was a lot of, a show that most people could agree on, even if you hated what Disney did with Star Wars or you loved what Disney did with Star Wars or you were indifferent. Most people can kind of come together and go like, well, Mandalorian's cool. That's pretty solid. That's pretty good. And we'll see if this is continuing to be the case here. So, like I said, so Mandy and the kid are back. The Mandalorian, Din Djarin, is trying to redeem himself after taking off his helmet. He's trying to repay that because that is a great sin amongst Mandalorians, especially the hardcore religious types, which we come to realize that that's the sect that Din Djarin is a part of, like the Mandalorian who never take off their helmets. So we see that he's trying to kind of repay for that and go back to the city of Mandalore and to try to bask in the glories of Lake Minnetonka to purify himself there. That's what he's trying to do. So we see that we get caught up on some events, like with Din Djarin going back to the city, now run by Carl Weathers' character. Also, if you were wondering about what happened to Gina Carano's character, they give a quick line what happened to her. She didn't get blown up or anything like that. She didn't die. She didn't take like a space vaccine and get sick or nothing like that. She's part of a special forces unit, I think is what he said.
He said that she got picked up by special forces.
Yeah.
She basically got a crew picked.
So she's part of, like a special forces type unit. So so they did that with her character. That's the way they wrote her off in the show. And with these kind of first 2 episodes that premiered this past, like I think one was March 1st and the other one was March 8th. So you see a lot of actions going on. You see right away, like you see like they're doing an introduction ceremony, and then right away like this huge monster creature kind of comes out just to show you like, yeah, we still got the budget, we still got the money. They're still doing a lot of that. So you're going to see a lot of action these first 2 episodes there. What did you think, Dusk, of these first 2 episodes? Do you think it puts you in a good place for season 3? Do you think it's necessary that people go and watch Boba Fett to see those 2 episodes with just with Din Djarin? What's your kind of thoughts there?
Let's see. So it's very clear that since season 2, Grogu was meant to not be with the Mandalorian anymore, and producer-wise, I believe I heard a rumor that Kathleen Kennedy basically said to Jon Favreau, but you gotta have Grogu in the series. Like, no, but his quest is done. He's moving on. He's gonna do other things. That was just the first 2 seasons. We have other plans. I want to start the Mandalorian War in the extended lore. I want to get to that. that's really cool with them reclaiming Mandalores. Like she's like, yeah, that's nice and all, but Grogu sells toys. Find a way to put him back in. And they're like, but that defeats the whole purpose. Do it. I don't care. And he's like, so his hands kind of got tied. Even in episode 1, it's like, wait, I thought you completed your quest. But he's like, it's complicated, okay? That's how it feels. This season, it definitely feels it's complicated, okay? Why is Gina Carano not in the series? It's complicated, okay? Like, there's a lot of extraneous stuff that happened outside of our story that kind of affected all this. There's a lot of conflicts of story, too. In the very beginning of the episode, suddenly Mando's clan is just, like, all back from the dead. And I thought he was really one of the few left at all. So you're like, okay. Then there's a giant snake monster, which didn't they already do that on Tatooine? And then there was another one with a I don't know, droid that self-destructed. By the way, just self-destructed on a river of lava, and they're like, oh no, but we got like his body and whatever. I'm like, he exploded on a river of lava. You're not getting that body back.
Yeah, that's IG-11, voiced by Taika Waititi. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, no, you're not. He was a one-off character. You don't need him to come back. What are you doing? He's not that important. But then it's like, no, we find the chip. So that becomes a MacGuffin. There's a lot of MacGuffins already in the first 2 episodes. So you're like, okay, so I'm going to travel all the way to an armor to ask for a second time if it's okay to go and take a bath in the living water. He's already asked this before, and she already told him it is the way. Sure, whatever. So it's kind of redundant. I mean, him saving his people is fine. That's okay, but it's still like, what? Finding out that it's habitable was extremely easy. They just sent a droid. Anyone could have done that. They could have just sent, any of them could have sent it. They also, he meets a cameo at one point with Bo-Katan. She's an extended lore character and has been she was in the Mando early seasons as one of the last like official Mandalorian houses, one of the last of her line. And she's just not doing anything anymore. Doesn't she have a starship now? She took it from Gideon. Why is it not like a base of operations now for her and her crew? Yeah, she didn't come back with the Darksaber, but he has it. Why does that not? She could just fight him for combat for it, and he wants to give it to her. It's just there's a lot of stuff I just don't understand. And then he wants to go repair one droid, but he can't because he doesn't need the part. So he goes and picks up a random other droid to do what he wanted that droid to do in the first place, making that whole MacGuffin pointless. But he still allegedly wants to do it, and then already we're 2 episodes in, and I'm like, what is this? What are we doing? The initial seasons were so simple. I have little baby. I want to take him to here. This is the way. That's what made that simple. And then along the way, we met character actors or characters who became rangers or fighters or was in little scenarios. But now that it's kind of gotten out of its realm, you're like, yeah, but what was the motivation for everybody? Where is all the stuff that you set up? Why is it all missing? Look, I know you got the budget. You don't have to show me a giant lizard thing. I just need to see things to make consistency. I don't know if you noticed that, but this is just things that I noticed.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of fetch quests. It's a lot of like you playing a video game and you're trying to level up, and before you do the main mission, you gotta do a lot of, you know what I mean, like, you know, do a lot of missions to upgrade your armor and stuff like that. It feels like there's a lot of that, like him zipping around with the droid, trying to get parts for the droid, then go to this other place, and go to this other place. It's like it does feel like a lot of that. You know, the stuff with Bo-Katan you mentioned, like, well, she does mention, you said that why does she have like a base of operations with a lot of people? Well, they do mention that all those people fled when she didn't come back with the Darksaber, so they do mention.
Which to me is foolish. You have an entire militia. He's just one guy. You all want the Darksaber. He literally was going to give it to her. I understand what she didn't at the time, because it has to be won by combat or else it's not official, quote unquote. That's their culture.
Right.
And she couldn't do it because she respects the culture, even if she doesn't fully believe in it. That being said, he comes back and he still wants to like give it. He wants her to come with him. She has a giant Star Destroyer. I'm sorry, but that's a base of operations. You could just be like, oh, well, we can just still do things. It'd be trepidatious, but she's like, I know who has it. And he even shows up to his clan full full of the Watchers. He has the Darksaber. Why is no one going for it? Who wants to be like king of Mandalore? Nobody wants to be that position. Nobody's vying. We're vying for it originally. Why did nobody care now? It's just like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. You show up. This is the MacGuffin. This is like the MacGuffin of your clan, and he has it. Why aren't you just going, oh, well, this is the way. He has the Darksaber now. At least he's persona non grata within his own clan. Oh, but I took off my helmet once that none of you saw, that I openly admit. It's like, oh, well, I guess we can't just, you're exiled now. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
So I don't
get it, man. It's just, yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you. So I don't know if you know this or if you know the answer, but so in this they say, well, technically he's not a Mandalorian anymore because he took off his helmet, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that mean that he could just hand over the Darksaber to somebody since he's not a Mandalorian anymore? So they don't have to do trial by combat anymore?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. He could literally have just walked up to Bo-Katan. They were on a starship with Gideon and everything. He's like, I'm going to go and bathe in the waters or whatever. And she says, okay, well, I'll come with you and do this, whatever. And then before they go, he goes, why do you need to go down there? And then he just hands her the Darksaber. She's like, I can't. We need to have a trial of combat. I have removed my helmet. And he like openly admits that, and everyone's like, oh. It's like, I admit it once, and now I have to redeem myself. Therefore, I don't have to. There's no need for tribal combat. You are a strong leader. You will lead us to Mandalore, and I want you to come with me. Bam! There's your party right there. Okay, all right, guys, let's go. It's finally the mending of the Watchers in there, and he's gonna redeem himself. Yeah, he could have just handed it to her. There's no reason not to, since he's basically his exile until he's redeemed himself.
Yeah.
The only thing they'd have to quantify was, is the place poisoned? Which they find out immediately with very little, almost no instruments. They could have easily done. They could have sent a droid from space and go, what does the atmosphere read? What do the samples read? Oh, it's perfectly breathable. Oh, it's just glassed over. Well, that's a bummer, but it's still, I guess, livable.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, also, I mean, I guess you see that the planet itself, like, it's completely destroyed. Also, like the buildings and everything like that, and so yeah, I mean, they would have to also rebuild all that stuff, I guess. Also, if
they would. I mean, to be fair, Bo-Katan has, like, even from the first season and two, she was more than willing to do that. She's like, I know what it takes, and I'm going to do it. And now all of a sudden, she doesn't have the Darksaber that he can easily just give her without having to go through the trial of combat, and she's not at the bits going like, please, for the Mandalorian people, whatever, please give it to me. I need to lead us. We need to reclaim our homeland. Cool. Now we have the first steps to do it. It just feels so arbitrary. Like you said, it's like a fetch quest. It feels like we have an artificial blocker for me to get back to the main quest.
No. I mean, some good stuff. I mean, like I said, the action is good. These first two episodes. I mean, they got the money, they got the budget. Seeing, Mandy and the kids, seeing them hang out, and them together it's adorable. I mean, it is adorable. And him sitting them teaching them some stuff. It's like, okay, well, this is this, and this is how you do this. I'm not sure how much information he's gonna retain because he's basically a little baby, so I don't know how much information he's going to retain. I guess it was good
enough.
Yeah, I guess it was good enough because he was able to go all the way back to Bo-Katan and get help, and then have her, her come with him. So I guess it was good enough. And
Grogu's enough that he listens to most everything you tell him. You're just not. He's just like a baby. You just don't think he's listening, but he kind of is, and he's also not. So you never know. It's kind of like a half and half.
Yeah, so it's kind of half.
He listens to Mando.
Yeah, so there's that. So, and Jim, you talked about like how the story of Grogu and where that's going and where his development. I mean, I think also Jon Favreau said that. I mean, he's not going to get much better with the Force than he is right now. I mean, this is probably it for him, as far as Force goes. So it's just like, okay, he could do the little Force backflips. He can do that, you know what I mean, like them big ass Force backflips. He can do that now, but this is about it. This is about as powerful as he's probably going to be there. Which of course, I guess you would probably want to limit that because you want to limit how many times he can save Mando and everything like that. And so, there's that. But again, like I said, it's just like how much more could you really do with the two of them? And you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it was always he was supposed to hand them off and then have him be trained, and then that be the end of it, and then there you go, and then focus on.
It was a sad but earned goodbye that maybe we would cameo later and he might visit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how's the kid doing? Oh, they're doing this. Oh, he's learning this. Cool. Well, I gotta go back. That's a side quest, like a break between something in the middle of a season. I'm sure people would have appreciated that. But now he's just back. You're like, well, yeah, but that kind of undoes the first 2 seasons and all that effort if he's just still palling around with you. And now you still have a Jedi around with you now.
Since Grogu has become such like a cultural icon, I don't think that Disney wanted to like make him like a side character.
Sure.
Like again.
Oh, of course. But you have to is like, but Disney, when you write a story, I know you're making money. There are better ways to do it than just going. It felt so so corporate. So this is what we want to do to make more money at the expense of story and character development. And that to me is that's a big flaw, and that haunts the rest of the series going forward.
Yeah, Javon Good.
Even if the series by itself is fine.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Javon Good, he made a point. He says, I'm still concerned about the time jump. They said Grogu was with Luke for 2 to 3 years. Doesn't feel like it. Yeah, Jon Favreau also said that apparently season 1 and 2 was over the course of 7 years. I didn't know that, so that's what he said. I was like, oh.
What? That was like, it felt like 3 at best.
Yeah, it was like over the course of 7. I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, so you kind of have that. So again, I mean, I didn't really necessarily feel that time jump. I mean, you are dealing with, I guess, 2 characters. One wears a mask all the time, and one's a baby that can age to be 1,000 years old. So he could be 300 years old and still be a baby. So it's just like, okay, I don't. You know, time is kind of. It's kind of wonky, I guess, of how you can measure time here of how far. So it's a little difficult. So, yeah, that's what that was the thing with Favreau said there. I think also if you saw the trailer for season 3, like we're supposed to be getting more of like I guess how Grogu escaped Order 66. So we're supposed to be getting that pretty soon in this season, possibly more explanation there. I do like the Mandalorian culture and seeing that, the Civil War there, and seeing them try to recapture Mandalore and building that back up. That's kind of interesting to me. I like seeing delving into more of that lore there. What's kind of some of your...
Boba Fett's so popular.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your opinion on that stuff?
I mean, the Mandalore stuff was always the most fascinating part of it. What made him kind of an interesting character and why I wanted Boba Fett to kind of be what Mandalorian is, but just with Ginger in is, but different. It was like probably the only good part of Boba Fett, and it was barely a taste. Was that Boba Fett is a clone of a true Mandalorian, and he got very different tenets than other Mandalorians get. So it's interesting to see he kind of still Boba Fett had these different structures of this is a bounty hunting code, way more loose and way more villainous than his way, which is the way, which is very constricted, very honorable. This is the way, this is the path. And yet they both respected each other in that they followed something. He's like, you believe in that crap? I do. Kind of like, at least you believe in something, kind of. That was a respect. That's what I've always, like, I think what a lot of people were attracted to by both the acting within the armor and Pedro Pascal playing it well, his stuntman playing it well, doing very good body language with it, and just having this really fascinating backdrop, allowing the character to be more personable while not seeing his face. I think that's what makes it fun. And I do wish to see more of their culture because I do think it's interesting. We hardly get to, in a lot of extended canon, they do talk about cults and other stuff and other aspects of the Jedi and the Sith aren't the only sort of religious aspect in Star Wars. It's all over the place. So to see the Mandalorians, who were even explored in the Clone Wars TV show, which, depending on people, may or may not even be canon in their heads, but it doesn't really matter. With Star Wars, the longer I've watched Star Wars, the more I realize, really, Star Wars is probably the biggest series that goes into the head canon kind of thing. It's whatever canon you just want to have in your head, and you keep what you like, and you get rid of the rest that you don't. It really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. So,
but I do enjoy the Mandalorian culture.
Final thoughts? Would you be interested to finish this? Are you, is these first 2 episodes like, I do want to finish this season?
this is a sunken cost fallacy at this point. I'm not in love with this season yet. I enjoyed the first season. I thought that was like, okay, this is pretty neat. I like this. Season 2, that was a pretty strong finish for this character. They redeemed Luke. They did a lot of good things that helped those characters and helped bridge that people's feelings on it at the time. I can't wait for this. Okay, and he's did his job. If they do another season, I hope to see they explore the Mandalorian stuff and go on that path. So if they're exploring the Mandalorian stuff, awesome. I just wish this could have. I'm just questioning a lot of the smaller decisions in the way. But overall, I do think at least right now it's a serviceable introduction to a new season, if a bit confusing.
Okay. Yeah. I think they were just okay. Mandalorian itself, I've never been that huge on. I never maybe loved it as much as maybe a lot of other people. Andor, especially after that came out, I was like, man, damn. So they can do something great. Like y'all can do something great when y'all want to. Y'all can when y'all not bullshitting. Y'all can do something good. So I really loved Andor.
Shows.
Yeah. So I did really love that. Mandalorian, I thought it was always like something that was like too heavy on the kind of the past of Star Wars and everything,
Sure.
but I did think it was good with Grogu and with Pedro Pascal, and I think they, that this just is a good relationship. And the fetch, kind of the fetch quest kind of stuff there, kind of got annoying, but I did like the fact that you explored more of the Mandalorian culture, and you kind of built upon that, and I thought that was very good. So yeah, I mean, I'll stick it. We'll review season 3 when all of it comes out, and maybe we'll also do season 4. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like a lot of people. I don't know. I mean, just like a lot of people talking about it like if they were season 2, season 1. Just doesn't seem like that. Yeah,
I think a lot of things happened with that. I think season 1 and season 2 came off the heels of the new trilogy, and for a lot of people that trilogy left a bad taste in their mouth. For a lot of people, they really enjoyed it. It kind of split people in half. Most people kind of agreed, well, Force Awakening was pretty good, and then what they did with the next 2 movies, either you liked or liked or loathed. And then the last one kind of brought both sides to go, yeah, this wasn't that great. I don't know how this ended. I haven't met many people who defend the Rise of Skywalker, but they are there, and I understand that there are some things to like about it. But it didn't end in the stick the landing that I think a lot of people wanted, and so it came off right off the heels. And you're like, okay, you can make something pretty decent. What do you do from there? And then they got season 2. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. And then we got Boba Fett, which killed a lot of that momentum. Gina Carano got let go, which for a lot of fans, killed the momentum of that too. Say what you will about whatever her tweets or whatever you feel about her as personally. Her getting taken off the show did hurt that and hurt a lot of the community. And then with this, with Andor, by the time Andor got seen, Andor would have done very well if it was coming right nipping the heels or around the end of season 2. That would have been a lot better, and I think a lot of people would have still, okay, we got a momentum going. But
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, man. The other shows have come out from Disney too that's bitten people. They've released other Disney Plus shows that have been like rough or bad or made changes or done things that a lot of people are getting tired of, and I think people are just kind of pushing back against Star Wars and Disney as a whole, and there's no excitement anymore. And I've heard it even from people who are heavy Star Wars fans. Believe it or not, I'm actually not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I do respect the medium and I like it well enough. But I'm nowhere near the hardcore Star Wars fans, and a lot of them are they try the series out and they go, it's okay, or it's not that great, and a lot of that hype is kind of gone. They lost the mainstream audience they were going for. They're done. They're like, I might tune in, but for Andor, I can't really see many mainstream people really loving Andor. Mandalorian, that's a bit more palatable, and it's a shame And I don't know what the future of Disney Plus Star Wars is, especially with how it's been going, but they need to turn that ship around. They need to do something really drastic to get people's attention again.
Yeah.
Well, Dusk,
Mhm.
kind of piggybacking
Please.
off like what you just said there is like the last Star Wars theatrical release was Rise of Skywalker. So
Mhm.
is is Star Wars just like television now?
That's
Which
another good question.
it seemed like growing up with Star Wars and just seeing it like on the big screen, just seeing like I'm not saying like Mandalorian is bad
Mhm.
or Andor is bad,
Right.
but Andor should have been a movie to be honest. Like based on how cinematic
Yeah.
it is, and the fact that I saw it like on the small screen, it felt like I was doing it a disservice. So
Yeah.
like my question is like for everyone and also Disney is like what's their plan with Star Wars? Like is it just like
Yeah.
these one-off like Disney Plus series or just like I don't know. I'm really confused.
No, that's an excellent question. That's actually something I've been wondering for a while. Uh, Star Wars was always a brand that was you. There were large breaks between each trilogy. With the original one, it was like a span of like 7 years between all three movies, give or take, for the original trilogy. Uh, then there was a 10 to 12 year. It was gone long enough to give it time to breathe. And then in the 90s, late mid 90s, they're like, maybe we should bring it back. And they did. So that was a good long while where Star Wars never left the mind, but it was long enough to be, oh, yeah, I remember Star Wars. Yeah, that was a fun thing. So there's excitement when another one was being made. And then the prequel trilogy, regardless how you feel about that, that also left a large, almost 20-year gap between the next trilogy. So as people could get excited again. And now so much content comes out. There's more series now than there have been. There's almost more series now than there have been movies.
Hmm.
And I think that does a big disservice to Star Wars. Star Wars should be an event. Every time a Star Wars movie come out, it should be like, oh my god, this is gonna be a blockbuster. It's gonna be great. And now it's like, oh, I can just see this on my TV.
Hmm.
That was usually saved for like animated shows, a little like one-off series to expand the universe, but not tell super major stories. Or if it did, it was really contained. So yeah, that's a good question. I
Yeah.
think almost in a way, I kind of want them to. I've wanted them for a long time. Can we just wait? Can we give like 10 years for Star Wars? At least 10 years. Just stop making anything Star Wars, aside from like the small little series on the side, and just go. We're just gonna take a big long break, see where we are, and then maybe actually plan our trilogy this time instead of not planning our trilogy like we did last time.
Because the
There's
last
also theories for a lot of people. Go ahead.
Rise of Skywalker was what 4 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years.
I'd actually probably say maybe 15 in that case. Yeah, 4 years ago. But there's never been a drought because they keep pumping out Star Wars stuff on the TV. It
Yeah.
won't, it's like, son, how can I miss you if you won't leave?
So do you think so the major
Yeah.
mainstream general audience that goes to see right because
Yeah.
all most of the Disney Star Wars movies they all made $1 billion. Most of them all made $1 billion,
Yeah.
except for two, I think, because Solo didn't make $1 billion and there was another one that didn't make $1 billion. I forgot.
Yeah.
But most of them made $1 billion. So are the mainstream general people that are going to see Star Wars movies? Are they watching Andor? Are they watching Mandalorian? Are they watching that stuff on Disney Plus? You know what I mean? So
Probably
when
not.
another do you think if another Star Wars movie comes out right now, they announce we're gonna do one right now in December, could it make $1 billion right now?
No.
Okay.
So I don't think so. I think what happened is they did such a terrible sticking of the landing. They've split the fan base, and now general audiences go, "Well, I wasn't a big fan of how that ended, or I thought it was okay." And even if it didn't, a lot of ways also for the original trilogy was there was no respect for the legacy characters as much as there should have been. At least with the prequel trilogy, this is the nicest thing I'll say about the prequel trilogy. Is at least it was telling Anakin and Obi-Wan's story. It may not have done the best job, but at least it was trying to tell a story that led up to Luke, Leia, and Han, and all the adventures that came later. to try and bring full circle. And with the way that's kind of ended now, a lot of fans are kind of done. Well, you've kind of broken everything that came before. You brought back Sidious, so none of Anakin Skywalker's sacrifice means anything. I don't care about Rey. John Boyega's character Finn was wasted. Poe Dameron was just there. All these good actors that were kind of not utilized properly. So where do we go from here? More Rey? No, thank you. More Finn? I don't care anymore. There was a lot of deep excitement for the Force Awakens, and now I go on the forums and most people go, "I'm going to play Knights of the Old Republic. That was good. I'm going to go back to older stuff. I'm going to start reading the older books, the older Star Wars books. Those were really good books. I heard a lot of people like, why didn't they just make the older movies? And just there's so many books, some like the Darth Bane trilogy that people talk about, or movies that never got made that were on a smaller scale, like the supposed sequel that had Star Wars flopped was called Splinter in the Mind's Eye. That was a novelization. Originally, it was going to be it was going to be a much smaller budgeted movie, but because Star Wars was so well liked, he went with Empire Strikes Back. There's so many other stories they could have told, but then they didn't, and now it's almost like their back door trying to put that stuff back in, and you're like, nobody cares anymore. You missed your chance. There's only so much as zeitgeist will go for.
I think the problem that Disney messed up with Star Wars is I honestly I'm probably one of the bigger supporters of The Last Jedi. Okay. And I think what Rian Johnson did there was like he set the foundation for J.J. Abrams, or I think back then before wasn't it supposed to be the guy that did Jurassic World?
Yeah.
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow. But Disney got scared by the whole reaction to The Last Jedi, and they course corrected. When they course corrected, I feel like that's when Star Wars kind of went downhill, and Disney just didn't know what to do, because Disney felt the need to just kind of appeal to all these fans that hated The Last Jedi, and kind of like appeal to them. While when they did that, they kind of like just they basically just ignored like the people that actually want to see something new from Star Wars. That's personally for me.
Sure.
Like that's when I just kind of turned off on Star Wars, where I watched the first season of Mandalorian, and I haven't cared to watch season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. I think that's also a lot of aspect for some people too. Some people do like The Last Jedi because it basically tried to be a flip it on its head. Now I can argue with you whether that was even good, or what it was good, or if it was worthwhile, or if that was worth the risk that they took to do it, or even if they did it well. But I do respect his attempt to do so. And then by that next movie, they threw out the script they originally had, or at least the limited script they had, and started well over. And that movie basically spent the entire runtime undoing the previous movie and then doing it. It was like 2 movies at once to fill in a gap in a pacing that was at lightning speed to get to the end.
Yeah.
And that's not... And the biggest thing that I've always frustrated me is you had the whole extended universe, the whole extended canon. You uncanonized, I get it. But you could have cherry-picked exactly what was the best in the extended canon, made a story, went so far enough a future that a lot of the good adventures mattered, and then that's your trilogy. Is like you go 50, 60 years later, keep it small, but make it a strong, fat, awesome story, and like finish the stories of these legacy characters in the best way that you can, setting up this new group of people, but allowing enough time and space to have gone by for those adventures, for those characters that the extended people liked in the extended lore. They didn't do that, and they didn't plan anything. They just went, it's Star Wars, we'll figure it out. And now Carrie Fisher is gone. Harrison Ford is long, like if he ever cared at all, which he didn't, he wanted to be done with the Star Wars crap a long time ago, but he's not coming back. They had to pull some major favors to get him back in The Rise of Skywalker. And Luke, poor Mark Hamill, they kind of really destroyed his character that he was so proud of. And yeah, some of his comments and the way he kind of jabbed Rian Johnson was really unprofessional in some ways, but I get it. that character has been with him for almost 40 years, and he really cared about it, and he didn't listen to him at all. And I don't know if he'll come back. I don't know if he'll ever come back. I mean, I think he still loves the character of Luke, but his version of Luke, the Luke that he grew up and helped make as a character a long time ago, and they had a once in a lifetime opportunity to have Han, Luke, and Leia one more time on the big screen, and they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fans. I know there's one guy I know that said. In no way at any point in that trilogy did you have Han, Luke, and Leia on screen together again. They didn't have one scene with that. I don't even after that point, it doesn't matter. You failed writing a movie if you don't at least have that in their sequel trilogy. If you don't even have that basic thing, you failed, and I don't care.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
All right.